Well, Mr. Wilson, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've, I haven't been in Ponca City very long, but the opportunity to meet some people, including you, has been quite impressive. Ponca City's got some notable alumni, CEOs, state congressmen, people that have accomplished, quite a bit in the art industry.
Yeah, that's true.
And now I get to sit with an Olympic champion. So what an honor for me, and what a neat thing for Ponca City and Ponca City High School.
Well, you know something. You mentioned those guys, and a lot of times I just kind of feel bad that I'm an average student in school. If it hadn't been for wrestling, I'd have gone through school, and my coach said nobody known your name. And so many other guys have accomplished so much stuff, science, everything. Guys flying planes and doing all kinds of things, and they're not, they're not recognized. And here I wrestled, and sometimes I feel even more obligated to do something for the school, even in their honor. I really feel like envy some of those guys because they really took school seriously, and I didn't take it that seriously. It's kind of humbling to be in there,
Sure.
in that, but knowing that you're from the school that have those guys is really, that you're a part of that.
There's a lot of proud history there. Some of those people that I've had the opportunity to meet. I'm going to ask you this question because it's fascinating to me. Some of them knew early on, when they were in school age, maybe even junior high age, this is what I want to do. This seems like a silly question to ask. Did you have a dream of winning a gold medal? Did you
Heavens, no. I couldn't even spell the word, And in fact, I never had that dream at all, ever. It wasn't until September or October, probably September of 1959, that I was even talked to even about the thought of trying out the Olympics. I never even had a thought of it, and the trials were in April.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually March is when they started, and so no, I never
Right.
never thought about it.
Well, it's quite an accomplishment. Quite an accomplishment. Visiting with a lot of those alumni that we were referencing earlier, I'm fascinated that just about every single one of them could tip their hat to somebody in their life, a teacher, a minister, a parent. Sometimes it's a sibling or a friend that challenged or encouraged, invested in them, if you would use that word, to kind of help get them thinking or moving down a path. Did you have anybody like that?
Oh yeah, I had several people, and I always remember the number one person was my first grade teacher, and I always say I enjoyed the first grade immensely. After that, it was a drag, but my first grade teacher was Miss Haber, taught 40 years in the same classroom at McKinley School, and a lot of kids I went through school with from first grade all the way up. She was a great teacher. We learned phonics. We learned how to spell. We learned how to write. We learned all those things. Of course, a lot of kids today learn that in kindergarten, but we learned it in the first grade. And this is a philosophy that I have. Kids are people. They may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you were treated or how you treated them. And so I've always been very careful to treat people, I guess, as nice as I could or as good as I could, because that's what they remember. And you treat a kid, we had one teacher, everybody in school called her old lady so-and-so, and she was a grouch. And I think about legacy. I don't want to leave that kind of legacy that every time somebody thinks about me, they say, oh, he was a bum or he was a grouch. you know, and you know, you have certain teachers that you have. Ms. Carter was second grade, and then I went to one grade school for 3 years, and then the fourth grade I went to Roosevelt, past McKinley. Spent 2 years there, which I'm thankful for because I met a lot of kids there. That I mean, I'm a country kid. I didn't do the things the kids in town did. Wasn't in little league baseball, and I didn't take music lessons, and I didn't do all those things. So, and I wasn't a real social guy to begin with. So, it really helped me to be an athlete and to meet different kids in school and become friends. And now when I come back to my reunion, then I know a lot of people that I wouldn't have known maybe. We just had our reunion here, our 65th, and yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it and enjoyed the people and the individuals that were there. And but I remember in in school, the I had a zoology teacher. I had an English teacher that taught me a lesson on cheating. I remember Ms. Langley, and I don't remember what year it was, but we had a wrestling meet, and I had to either miss it and take the test late, or I had to take it early. I can't remember, but she said, take your books and go in the cafeteria and take this test. And I get in the cafeteria, and I had all my books and all the answers. I had everything there. And the thought came across my mind to cheat. And I thought, you'd be a real bum. That lady trusts you. Boy, I tell you, that's emotional to me. That really was an emotional experience, that this person trusted me so much that she let me have my books and go in the library. And I'll tell you, I never forgot that. She helped me understand about treating people because she didn't think anything about it. It was just like, you take those and go in there. Gee whiz, she doesn't, and my one regret is that I never really went back and thanked her for that, and I should have. I used to visit my first grade teacher. You know who my best friend was in the school? The janitor. I was in first grade.
They can be pretty
He
cool.
was my buddy.
I
I
that's
can't
right.
believe that. I mean, and I've always told everybody, you guys be nice to the janitor. They got the keys to everything.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Yeah.
they do. Yes, they
And
do.
when I was in college, I worked Frank Weissner. He was an old bent over guy that I worked for in the school laundry. Worked for him 4 years through college. Great old guy, helped me a lot, when I went to school, the guy that helped me in wrestling the most, Coach Arthur Griffith, greatest coach, taught me how to teach myself. It's like giving me an alphabet, and teach you how to read. He taught me how to teach myself wrestling and how to teach others.
Wow.
And what he said, Fred Davis exhibited to me. And Fred was a senior and I was a sophomore, and he just kind of was my friend. I mean, he befriended me for, why? I'm a freshman. No, I was a freshman. He was senior. But I watched him wrestle and I said, that's the way I want to learn to wrestle. And Coach Griffith was telling him how to do it. He was showing me how to do it. And I'd watch him. And so I was able to take what was said, put it together, and form a philosophy and learn this, what helped me win the Olympics. And it was those two guys that really that really helped me the most, So, I've had some real. I had a missionary named, call him Mr. Bice, and he was a missionary 40 years in Brazil. I met him as a young guy, been a Christian about a year, We became friends until he died. And when I was living in Texas, we used to go visit him. One of my daughters is named for that from that family, and he helped me spiritually a lot. Jack Holt, Erwin Tinker, when I first went to college, those guys helped me to understand the basics and the foundation of of living the Christian life. Gee whiz! I mean, how a person goes through life and can't thank people, I don't know. And I guess the one that I would really have to look up to and thank so much would be my mother. My dad taught me how to work and the value of working.
What kind of work did you do, Shelby?
A farm. We lived on a farm south of town, and we were just dirt right up to the door when I was growing up. You crawl out the door, you don't get grass, you're on the dirt, and the greatest invention for mankind is a flush toilet.
so many kids, like as you're growing up, so many kids nowadays they're not up off the couch.
Oh,
How many hours a day did you work as a kid to help?
Well, I mean, when I'm 9 years old, I'm out in the field.
Yeah.
I'm working, the same hours as my dad is. I mean, we had to go to school, but when we got home, that's why wrestling. My folks always let me wrestle. So during the winter, we were raising wheat, so there wasn't as much. There was chores and feeding the cattle and the animals and stuff. But they shifted into that, and they let us kids participate in wrestling. That's the only thing we ever did. And but that was, you learn to work, and you learn to work whether you feel like it or whether you like it. And I can remember one of the greatest things in the world was to get a quarter on Saturday and go to the movie for a dime, and you got 15 cents to splurge on. And boy, sometimes my dad would say, well, we're working today. We got to work today. And I'd get so mad. I would be mad. Wasn't anything to do with work. I just go to work. And work all day, plow it or whatever we need to do. And nowadays, kids puff up and their parents let them get away with it. They want to run away from home. I hate you. Well, who's footing the bill for you? Who's paying your way and giving you food and clothes on your back? Hey, it's your folks. They do it until you get able to do it for yourself. So, let your brain grow and get to be an adult.
Right, right. I would be remiss not to ask, but it seems like that youth, teachers, especially the farm experience, the work ethic and things like that, they had to have an impact for a small town Oklahoma boy to end up on the biggest stage imaginable. You're in Rome in 1960 in the Olympics. How did a small town boy from Ponca City get there?
Well, I often ask myself that question as to what, and there's no answer to the question of what. You got 5 guys and they go through the same program, and they all do the same work and everything, and then one of them comes out on top, goes to Rome. There's no answer to that. I mean, you see it all the time. Guy runs the fastest in the world. He trains with somebody that runs almost as fast as he does. Does the same thing, but he can't beat him. So what's the answer? It's not just hard work. There has to be something else involved. You just happen to be blessed at that point. Because I don't say that I worked harder than anybody, but I'll guarantee there wasn't anybody outworked me. And that's the difference. I don't say, I was the hardest working guy in the room. No, everybody worked hard, but none of them outworked me. There wasn't anybody worked any harder. I know that. There wasn't anybody that listened anymore. And I think when you listen and you work hard and you take advice, and then you're able to shift out what you don't need and keep what you have enough sense to know what's best. And I was very blessed in that in my wrestling I could do that. I was taught the philosophy as my old coach, and you were saying a while ago, if muscles were everything, then a bull could catch a rabbit. And you think about that, and you think, well, that's right. He's big and strong and powerful with this. And anyway, you put him in a pen, he's going to catch that rabbit. Because that rabbit can dart and move and shift. And he said, that's the way we're going to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
You be the rabbit.
Yeah.
And we're going to outfox those guys. And that's what I built all my wrestling philosophy on. And that took me to Rome. That's a whole story in itself there. I mean, just being able to, make the team and all that. But I don't know if there's an answer to how that happens.
Shelby, so one thing, being the athletic director, I've always, I see kids all the time. All right, they see world-class athletes on TV, but all that they're seeing is that moment on TV. All right, so what I've always wanted to get out there to people is in kids is what are they doing when nobody's looking?
Yeah, right.
Talk to us about what the training is actually like to be at an elite level.
Well, the training that put me in the Olympics was not just the training I did 6 months before the Olympics. It was the 10 years that I did before the Olympics. It was 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Lauren Smith, who was my junior high coach, right across the street, and we used to wrestle in the basement of the Roosevelt school up there, and that old, the ceiling was about 6 feet tall, and it was all concrete in there. But he taught me some things in junior high school that I never forgot. And one of them was how to train. And I was just a stone country kid. I didn't know anything about how to train, what to do. I was totally at the mercy of the coach. Whatever he said, I did. And I was taught to do that by my parents. Mm-hmm. And my parents would say, you get in trouble in school, you don't know what trouble is till you get home. Right. You're gonna get in trouble. So I didn't get in trouble in school. Right. All my trouble was in my mind. Not. I didn't get out and do crazy things. I did them in my mind. But being able to. I lost my chain of thought there for a second. What would you
training? What would
training. The training. The training that I did up to that point was very, very intense. And my coach, Lauren Smith, said to me, he wrote on the blackboard. I remember first day of practice. Put a line down the board, and he wrote on the left side, these are the things, if you want to be the best, these are some of the things you do. These are the things you don't do. At the top, he put drinking alcohol, smoking. He put soft drinks. He put all fried foods. He put all kinds of stuff down there. I mean, he was right. I'm sitting here writing it all down. I'm writing it all down. On this side, he said, eat right, get plenty of sleep, and stay away. All this stuff. Work hard and so on. This is how you be a champ. And I wrote all that down. Do you know that in my lifetime, I never broke training? I mean, he indelibled that in my mind that, in the middle of the season, we started November the 1st, I think it was. Up to that day, I would eat anything. And I could eat anything, And I would do it. The day it started, it was cold turkey. You couldn't have gotten me to eat a cookie in the middle of the season. Literally. Mm-hmm. My mom was a good baker and everything. We had Thanksgiving, Christmas. I didn't eat pie. I didn't eat cake. I didn't eat anything. No soft drinks. Nothing. They're sitting at the table. I get on my wrestling gear. eat a piece of steak, and go run 7 miles. You know, my weight down, and uh, that the training is much. If you're prepared, the competition is not that tough. No matter how tough it is, it's not as hard as your training if you're serious. You know, and I mean, running the miles after miles and being had me sucking weight, getting down to weight. I got to the point sometimes if I hadn't been as dedicated as I was, I'd have probably quit. It was just, man, I can't even believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So bad, you know. But you learn to do it on your own. Then you learn to punish yourself on your own. You don't have to if anybody's telling you. You learn to do what you got to do. So in 1960. All through this time, here's what I think a person needs to do. No matter who they are. Like I was with those little kids last night, and the main thing is always do your best. Every day you do your best, and if you do your best, you train hard, wrestling or whatever it is, pulling a flute or whatever. If you know you've done your best, you don't have any apologies to make. I don't care. It's like I told him, you don't have to win the gold medal to be a champion. You don't have to be first to be a champion. If you've done your best, you're a champ. If you've given it all that you can give, you're a champion. I don't care, and whatever it is. You know, we talk about being a champion, and we talk about it's athletics, but it's not just athletics. It's being a first class person, being someone. Like I tell kids, the greatest compliment that somebody can tell you is, "I trust you." Ms. Langley taught me that. She taught me that. That's the greatest compliment anybody can say to you is, you are trustworthy. I mean, that to me is one of the greatest things that, I mean, it would be honorable to have somebody say, I trust you. Golly, isn't that great to be able to be trusted? That with any job, you're trusted, you know? There's a little booklet called "The Message to Garcia." It's a famous guy wrote it way back during I think when we were in war with Cuba, and I can't remember the names, but the idea was that this guy wrote it out, and he said there was a message that needed to be gotten to a General Garcia in the American forces in Cuba somewhere. They didn't even know where he was, but it was a very important message. And they said, how are we going to get it to him? And somebody said, give it to Lieutenant so-and-so. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but you can look it up online. It's online. And they said, called him in. He said, we have this message. Can you get it to him? He goes, yes, I'll get it to him. They dropped that guy off on the east side of Cuba. 2 weeks later, he came out on the west side. They picked him up, and he had delivered the message. Nobody knew how he ever come, you know, but he did it.
He did.
And the idea was that the guy who wrote it said, now, if you're a businessman and you have a secretary there, or you have somebody that's under you, or whoever you are, call them in and give them an assignment. And then wait and see how many questions they ask you. Where do I get this information? Why do you need this? He said, they'll ask you a dozen questions most of the time. He says, very, very rare will you find a person that you give them the information, you give them what you need, and they walk away and they bring it back later. They ask no questions. They just do it. You know? I have a daughter. Well, I have 3 daughters. And all of them are like that. But I had one that worked in Denver as in a computer company, and her boss would call her in and say, Nancy, we need this project, we need to do it this way and everything, and she would go do it. She'd write it up, bring it back, and he'd go, you know, that's not what that's not right, that's not right. And she'd say, well, that's what you said. He goes, no. She says, okay. So next time he did it, she brought it back in. He says, is this what we wrote up? You know, is this what? Because she wasn't writing it up. Well, she wrote it up, typed it out, brought it back to him. He said, "Yep, okay, that's it." She said, "Sign it." He signed it. A month later, he comes and says, "No, that's not right." She goes, whoosh. She sets it down in front of him. That's exactly what you wanted. That's what you got to be.
Yeah.
You got to be so trustworthy that the guy didn't even know he's trusting you. You know,
That's,
I mean,
yeah. How powerful is that?
you know, she got ahead of the game, and she's you know, she's got a brain tumor now, and she's not able to work. She's but you wouldn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
She just keeps plugging right along. She's, you know, but
Yeah.
part of that is that's her character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Mm-hmm.
and if your character is nobody trusts you, you got problems.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
you know, my coaches, I always trusted them. They didn't do me the right way sometimes, but I still trusted them. And I wish they hadn't pulled me down so much. And, you know,
you brought up something. I want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly, because you brought up something that's fascinating. And you know what? I've heard this, and I've been taught this, and sometimes I hate to admit in front of you that maybe I have let that lesson go to the back of my brain, but you helped bring it back out. Hard work, discipline, those aren't guarantees to success.
no.
Those are, at best, guarantees to opportunities. Then
Right.
once you get that opportunity, you have to perform or don't. But if you perform to the best of your ability, then maybe you have success. Is that correct? Am I hearing that correctly?
That's correct, because opportunity is just opportunity. It's there. You got to do something with it.
Right.
You can't, you know, it's like my Christian experience. Being a Christian, I've always, since I became a Christian, my feelings of reaching out to help people is greater. And so I make this deal with the Lord. I say, Yoko, I'm available. And so then when the opportunity comes along, if I don't do something about it, that being available doesn't mean beans. You know.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you're saying. That here's somebody who has a flat tire on the side of the road. That's an opportunity. Well, if I drive on the other side and go around, my opportunity didn't mean a thing. But if I stop and give aid as best I can, then I've taken advantage of the opportunity. You know, it's like you may be real smart, but you think you don't need to go to school and learn anymore, and you get an opportunity for an academic scholarship or something, and you say, I don't want to go to school. Well, you've blown your opportunity. You know, it's been there, but you don't do anything about it. Or, you know, your employer gives you, trusts you to do a job, and or whatever. You know, the opportunity is one thing, but it's useless without action to the opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think if I hear you correctly,
Yes.
that's what
Yes,
you're saying. And I'm a total firm believer in that. In fact, it's very important to me, the action. It's like reading the Bible. You can be a genius by reading the Bible. You can read it all the way through, and you can quote it all the way through. But if you don't look at it like it means something to you and you practice what it's saying, it's just like another history book. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. You know, you gotta put it to practice, or it's just, you know, if it says love your neighbor and you don't love your neighbor, then it's just another, you know, another book.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Right.
So from like an athletic, academic standpoint, so you got a lot of kids that, you know, they go to college, and then they lack on their grades, and then by the time they're getting ready to graduate, well, they haven't had a whole lot of looks at college.
Yeah.
All right, well, what'd you do in the classroom? My grades were, you know, less than average, maybe average. Well, that's probably the biggest message to say, hey, get good grades so you have options. You don't know if you're going to get hurt or something's going to happen.
Well, that's right.
You get an opportunity to move on.
Yep. Yep. A lot of guys that go into professional sports and then they don't make it, they get hurt, or they go into whatever, and they are. It's like these girls that count on their beauty. And you know, you're not going to be beautiful all your life. Not very many people are beautiful people all their life.
I never had that problem.
You know, I mean, no, I mean, you see. I look at my wife and I think, well, I probably wouldn't have fallen in love with her if I hadn't have met her and been married with her for 59 years, you know. And I look at all these women around that are widows and everything. I see, well, there's not one of them I'd want. You know, I mean, I think, but my wife is different, you know. I mean, you think your wife, you've been with her all this time, and you know, but then you see this other gal over here, and you know, she's let herself go or whatever, you know, and you say, what? Golly, I wouldn't want any of these gals. I wouldn't want to marry up with any of these gals, you know.
There is something really special about that. 50, how many years?
59, yeah.
59.
Well, December be 59.
Congrats.
December 22nd, be
Congrats.
59, yeah.
Congrats. I can only imagine that relationship. And she grew up in Texas, isn't that correct?
She grew up in several places, but she spent most of her growing up from the 7th grade through college in Abilene, Texas.
Okay.
She lived in Mississippi. She was born in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Illinois, and Indiana. Mm-hmm. She would primarily visit Indiana with her grandmother, but she spent a lot of time in Indiana, in Bloomington, Indiana, and Wabash, Indiana. Okay. But most of her years that she had in a succession was in Abilene, Texas, and she's always kidding about being a Southern girl and being from Mississippi, and how she'd say, the little girl, how old are you? And she'd say, 5 years old. You know, she's always telling, you know, stuff like that, and you know. But anyway, they were.
Oh no, I think those are always wonderful. I mean, congratulations. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment, I guess, is what people say today.
I think so. Yeah. But it's saying something about that. People think, well, you've been together 59 years. You must get along just perfectly. Well, my wife and I, we've had to work out things. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think that you young people, and you have a girlfriend, you think you'll be in love forever, and you'll never have an argument, never get, baloney. It doesn't work that way. You're human beings that are learning to live together, and if you're not willing to do that, then 2 years later, you're going to say, well, I don't want to be married to her, and you get a divorce. You're quitting too soon. If you're not willing to work at it and really get in there and say, hey, I'm sorry, or, I can honestly say God has held us together because she's down there and I'm down here. I married a woman that was like a cheerleader, and she's her life, she's still a cheerleader. She's like, she cheers in front of the TV, she jumps up and down, and not just at a football game or something, but somebody does something, all right, she's going, and I'm this guy that I can enjoy a wrestling match with a piece of paper and a pencil, and I'll take notes. And she's jumping up and down and hollering, pinning and all, and all this, and I'm totally opposite, completely opposite of that, And first thing, my mother was a very quiet, sweetest woman in the world, but my little brother learned to hug, but we didn't learn to hug. We weren't a hugging family. Well, her family hugged everybody, and her mother, she hugged a tree, I love this tree, But when I married her, I come into this family that just is totally opposite. All of them are loud, and they laugh, and they kid, and they hug and everything, and I'm just like, wow. And it took me a lot of shifting gears to get into that, not as much, but to get into being able to get out of myself to other people, not just be this quiet guy that never says anything, because you're not going to help too many people if that's the way you are. You're primarily concerned about yourself. And when I was growing up, that's the way it was, because I was that kind of guy. And it really boiled down that I was more interested in me than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I got the shift, began to realize that, if you're going to work with people, you need to work on this personality trait.
Yeah.
And my wife, Gretchen, has helped me tremendously in that, because she just drags me along on that. And then I have to kind of tone her down sometimes,
Right. Right.
But we have to work out our problems. I mean, we still grind each other sometimes, and
Sure.
all that time, and we have to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, and move on, get it changed. But it's amazing how many people want to quit too quick. And they think, well, the next one will be better. Well, sometimes it's 2 or 3. It takes 2 or 3, before they get smart enough to figure it out and they get along. But we decided that one thing we believe in, and that is we believe in the Bible, and the Bible says you get married, you ought to stay married. So we took it seriously, and so commitment is a big thing to me. I mean, if I commit to you to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I committed to my wife to be her husband for as long as we lived, and so bingo, I'm going to be there. And so she believes the same thing. So no matter what happens, no matter how much I irritate her, or no matter how much she irritates me and thinks I married the wrong guy, she doesn't have the freedom to just walk away, because she has a commitment, and me too. So that commitment brings you back to dead center, where you can get your senses together. Maybe you need to take a little time apart and talk, think about it, come back. But that commitment is what you're stuck with. If you really believe in marriage, and you believe in the Bible, or you believe whatever, I don't care. You may not believe in the Bible, maybe you believe in something else, but it's a moral direction that keeps you straight. And it's not just whatever you think, like we have today, whatever you think. If you're a boy and you think you want to be a girl, you can be a girl. Well, that's a bunch of baloney, you can't. It doesn't change you just because you think, okay, I want to be an Olympic champion. Is that going to make me one? No, that's not going to make me one. It doesn't make me one. Or I want to graduate from high school, but I don't want to study. Well, you're not going to graduate from high school then, because you can't just think about it. You can't think about being an astronaut and be one. You got to work at being one. And it's just like anything else. Your thinking will guide you, but it's not going to change. If your fingers are like that and you think, well, they ought to straighten up. They're not going to straighten up. Just like maybe you need an operation to get them straightened up, or right. Something.
Right. I would imagine that relationship, 50 plus years. I've been married 27. I thought that was a good mark, but I've got a ways to go to get to your level.
Well,
but I believe that your commitment to that relationship, or my guess would be that having someone that you've partnered with that long, and you referenced the fact that she in many ways kind of helped shape at least a side of you, or helped you develop a side of you that kind of maybe even take a different potential, or maybe the potential was there, maybe she helped bring it out.
She definitely did. I mean, that's a big part of my life. I mean, I am much more outgoing, meeting people, everything because of my wife. And I mean, I owe her a lot in that arena, because she's she pushes, and sometimes I get irritated, but in the long run, I realize, that was the right thing. I should have done that, and go on, because you hate to admit that you're maybe too lazy to do this, or you're, and she's saying, we need to do this, we need to do this, and you're, when you do it, and they realize, yeah, that was right. We should have done that.
Right. We all have those moments.
Yeah.
I would be in trouble if I did not ask an Olympic champion to tell us a little bit about wrestling and that experience. Could you take us back to 1959, 1960, wherever you want to jump in there, if you
Yeah.
don't mind? Take us a little bit about, okay, what were the steps? What were they like? You're wrestling at OSU, and where did you get? How did you get there, and what was it like?
Well, that is a great question. It's a really good question, and it's really important, I think, because I wrestled at OSU. I won 2 Big 8 titles because I was hurt one year, so I only got to wrestle 2 years. I won easily 2 Big 8 titles, and I won 2 second place in the NCAA. I won all my meets at OSU. I don't know what percentage, but there was only the Big 8 and the Nationals that I wrestled at 137, and one other match, I think. The rest of my matches, I wrestled at 147 pounds. So I lost in high school and college at a lower weight class than I had wrestled all year, which always kind of bothered me. But my sophomore year in college, I got hurt, got my ankle messed up, and I missed that year. So I came back to finish up school and do a hardship case year, my senior year. So I go back to school. Coach says, they ruled you ineligible. You're not eligible to wrestle. Why don't you help me? You're going to go to school. Why don't you help me coach? And by the way, why don't you try for the Olympics? First time I had ever been. That was about September, somewhere in there. By the way, why don't you try for the Olympics? I go, oh, good idea. I'll try that. You know? Well, I didn't realize. I realized I hadn't been on the mat since March of '59, so that means that I go March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April before I'm gonna be on the mat again.
Wow.
I had no competition that year. I wasn't wrestling tournaments and stuff. I had the wrestling room. I had. Well, I'll go back. I'm regressing a little bit here. When he said that, he said you could wrestle 136 and a half, make the team. Well, my first thought was, I've been there, I've done that, you know. Man, he wants me to go 36 and a half. Oh, gee whiz. But I started training. I was trying to honor what he was saying. So I put my gear on and I started training because I knew it was going to be just pulling weight. You know, and when you pull weight like that, you don't learn any wrestling. You don't really. Your concentration is just getting down to weight. And I weighed about 57, probably right in there, and that would have been 20 pounds. See, golly. Well, I was running around Gallagher Hall in the second floor up there. It was around it. And finally I just sat down. My heart wasn't in it. I just wasn't enthused about it. And I just kind of prayed and I said, I don't know what I should do. I want to do the right thing, but right now, if I really make this decision and be able to do it, I'd go 47. That's what I want to do. But I'm open. I'm going to walk from here down to the wrestling room, and if there's not a bolt of lightning or somebody didn't come along and give me a direct, okay, I got to go 36 and a half, I said, I'm going 147. So I trots down there, walked across, nothing happened. I got in there. When I walked in the wrestling room, it was just a peace that came over me. It was like, you've made the right decision. You're going 47. And I just felt enthused then, all at once. So I go to my coach and I tell him I'm going 147. Now, I don't know all of his motivation for wanting me to go to 36 and a half. I can never figure that out. And I couldn't figure out why he said what he said to me, but he shook his finger in my face like this, and he said, those 47 pounders are too big for you, and they're going to kick your butt. That's what he said. That was his measure of encouragement for me to try out for the Olympics, you know. So I was basically on my own. I didn't have anybody come forth and offer me any training tips or anything. I just had to figure it out. Got a rule book, started checking out the rules. I didn't even know the rules. And then I figured out, just stay off your back and use your stuff. You know, perfect your stuff that you do right now. Don't worry about all that throws and all that stuff you got to do. So that's what I started doing. I just wrestled collegiate style. And I had a tournament here at Ponca City, which was a qualifying tournament, which was not any real competition at all. And I decided I needed some more competition, so I drove to Colorado with two guys from who were at Stillwater with me. And we drove to Colorado for a tournament. And that was the only two competitions that I had before I went into the final trials at Ames, Iowa, except in the wrestling room, just wrestling. Mm-hmm. And the trials were that if you placed in the top 3 in your weight class, you go to a training camp, which was the first time training camp was held. It usually, if you won that tournament, you were on the team, just on the team. Well, then if you were a freestyler and you stayed over for the Greco and you placed in the top 3 in Greco, you could try out for either team. Mm-hmm. And I was the only guy that did that. Now, there were 2 or 3 guys that had they done that, they'd probably made the Greco team. Would have had a different Greco team. Phil Kenyon was one of those guys against Blue Ball. Neither one of them, Blue Ball or neither one, they figured they'd both win. Both of them weren't going to win. But anyway, I went to the training camp number 2 because I got a draw with the guy in the finals. So I put me number 2, which I didn't care. As long as I was number 1, 2, or 3. And so I stayed around for the Greco, and I got something wrong anyway. I ended up just forfeiting to him and placing 3rd again. Just, you know, I knew I could beat him, so I didn't have to worry about it. And trained with Phil Kenyon from Oklahoma State, he was a national champ, and wrestled behind Blue Ball the whole time. Blue Ball was in the military. He was in the Navy, and they'd meet, and they'd draw. They would draw. They would draw. They would draw. He could draw with Blue Ball, but he could never beat Blue Ball. He was not as big as Blue Ball quite, and actually he was a great training partner for me, because he and I would go. I lived with him that summer. At his dad had a farm there, and his folks were gone or something that whole summer. Anyway, we stayed in the house and we worked local farmers, and we'd get up in the morning, we would run, would lift a few weights, then we would work, and then we would go up to the university, and the matches were 12 minutes in those days. We'd get a clock and we'd set it and we'd wrestle 12 minutes, dogging it. I mean, we'd go after it. So I was perfecting my moves with him. All summer we did that. Clock would run down, we'd have 12 minutes, and we'd rest about 10, and we'd go another one, you know. And it wasn't like we would take a break during that 10 or that 12-minute match. We wrestled the full 12 minutes, so we weren't wrestling breaks in the 12 minutes. We wrestled 12 minutes. I learned defense on bottom, top, my feet, staying, perfected my moves. And I had bad knees, so I learned can't stick those legs on. And I had a leg, they would lock up on me, and I'd turn and get it popped out, And so in my wrestling, I didn't put the legs on anybody. I didn't work on top. I counted on on my takedowns.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you got 3 points ahead in the first period, first 6 minutes, then you could take your choice. In the last 6 minutes, you could go on your feet, or you could go down 2, or he goes down 2, whichever one I flip the coin. 2 down, 2 on top, and then 2 more on your feet. So the most that you could go in a 12-minute match down, if you were in the offense and you were scoring all the points, would be 2 minutes. And if you didn't score those 3, then you automatically went down to that position. So you'd have to defend yourself for 2 minutes because you stayed down there. You didn't get up. They didn't. That guy got to work on you for 2 minutes. That's a long time when you're down there. So worked a lot on defense on bottom, not to be turned. But I only had 2 matches that I had to do that. I only had 4 minutes down the whole Olympics. The rest of the time I was 12 minutes on my feet. Wow. And if I'm 12 minutes on my feet, you might as well kiss it goodbye. Yeah. You're not going to win. If I can get 3 points, if I can get 3 points on you in that system, in the first 6 minutes, you might as well go home, because it ain't going to happen. You're not going to beat me. Not in the next 6 minutes. I can tell you that. And that's what happened. Mm-hmm. I get those first 3, and the first 3 guys I wrestled, I wrestled 12 straight minutes through the whole thing. Just take them down, cut them, take them down, cut them, take them down, cut them. And, the only 2 guys I had to wrestle full was the Russian and the Iranian. And they weren't, it was like 1 point. I think I got 2 takedowns on the Russian, didn't get the 3, so I had to go down with him. And the Iranian, I think, was the same. And I think I got 2 in that first period and 2 in the second period, I think it was. And, getting there in that realm of things, I had to win. I was second. The first guy I had to beat was the Greco guy. And so I beat him twice, which put me on the Greco team. So then the next session was freestyle. So then I had to go 3 matches, I think, on freestyle. I had to beat the guy below me. I had to beat him because they had to wrestle up. Then I was here, and then the first place guy, I had to beat this guy, and then I had to beat him twice. Mm-hmm. So I chased him for 12 or 11 minutes and 35 seconds, I think it was. I traded about 20 seconds to go, and he was still running. And he'd been on the Olympic team. He was a veteran, but he was past his prime, past the youth of America coming in, Anyway, the last 20 seconds, I said to myself, no draws. Ain't gonna be no draws. And I caught him on the edge. I looked at the ref. He had to give me a penalty point for him going off because he'd gone off so much, or he had to give me a takedown, which he gave me a takedown. I beat him 1-0.
Wow!
You hear his story? It's totally different. You hear his story? It's totally different. We bounced around. We didn't do anything, and then he finally shot in on me. And I don't know why they gave him the point. It's kind of sad, but anyway, the next morning I had to arrest him again. He never showed up. He quit. Went home. He knew he couldn't beat me with a club, so I guess he just quit and went home. But you hear his story, totally different. He didn't understand that he was supposed to be there. Oh man, it's so pathetic. He didn't understand that he was supposed to be there. He thought all he had to do was that he could forfeit that one and come back and wrestle another one. Whoever told him that? Nobody else thought that way. They all showed up. Blue Ball showed up. Kenyon showed up and battled it out. Everybody knew that. But anyway, I was on the Olympic team. Wow. Took freestyle. And the other guy, he was all happy because he got to go over there and party. The Greco guy, and went to Rome, and back when I, and this is really important here because there's be Christian kids that'll see this presentation, and I just want people to know that if you're really serious about your faith, and you really are trusting God, and you believe in God, and there are some that don't, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. But I remember I needed a plan. I had nobody help me. There wasn't anybody telling me what to do. Nobody. Not even my own college coach. He didn't give me any advice. I had to come up with a plan. And what do? I just said, Lord, I need a plan. I need some help. I need for you to give me a plan that meets what I need to do. And this plan began to formulate in my mind. It was amazing how I began to think about this plan of what I needed to do. And the first thing was perfect what you already know. Get as tough as you can with what you know. Don't even try to learn anything else. Get your takedowns, perfect them. Protect yourself on bottom. Don't just practice bottom, but don't get turned. Get where nobody can turn you. And when you get on top, blow it off. Don't worry about it. Score enough points, you don't need it. That was it. That's what I did. And I followed it right to the wire. And any man that would have come along with me would never have given me that plan. That is an insane plan for Olympics. They would have said, no. You got to learn to throw. You got to learn to work the legs. You got to learn some turns. You got to do all this stuff. I'd have been trying to learn stuff that I didn't know and wasn't familiar with. We had a guy on our team. He was a 3-time national champion, Division I, 3-time national champion, Division II. One of the toughest guys, good on takedowns. Elliot Gray Simons, national champ. Had he wrestled like I wrestled, there's no doubt to me he would be Olympic champion. But he didn't have the input that I had, and I didn't feel like I could, I wasn't up to what he was doing. But he takes the guy down, and then he crawls up and puts the legs in. And that kid caught him with the legs, put him right on his back, pinned him. He's out. And had he just done what I did, but no, everybody's telling you got to do the legs, you got to do this. And I didn't listen to any of that stuff. I just, you've got to learn what to listen to and what not to listen to. And in that realm of things, I really didn't have anybody trying to tell me either way. They just ignored me because they didn't think I was going to do anything anyway. So nobody came along to help me. They didn't tell me anything. And but I know had they. And I appreciate Port Robinson, who was the coach at the University of Oklahoma at the time. He always wanted me to wrestle for him, and he finally got me on his team that I could wrestle for him. He never bothered me. He left me alone. He didn't try to change me. He let me do what I needed to do. And I just feel like God gave me a plan, and that he will speak to your mind if you give him that chance, and you're really serious. He'll give you that plan to do what you need to do in life if you got a problem. Give you some wisdom. A lot of times, that's the only place you're going to get that wisdom that you need. It's nobody knows what you need to do, and so you got to count on something else.
Right.
But that's pretty much the journey that I had going to the Olympics.
Like,
and
keep it simple, work at it, and trust in it.
That's right. That's right. Keep it basic.
What a timely message. I think, that last statement of yours is so appropriate for our youth today. Blocking out the noise.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of noise, right?
Oh, yeah,
we carry our phones in our pockets, and there's constant noise and dings and so forth. And I remember and you may have to help me.
Okay.
I read a little bit about, an interview that you did a couple of years ago, and I remember them talking to you about the Olympics and so forth. And I believe you said, or at least you were quoted as saying, that you were prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Yep. That's true.
And to me, that sounds a whole lot like I always try to make sure I've got all three parts of my life in order: mind, body, spirit.
Yep, that's right.
Is that what you were saying
Yeah,
there?
that's right. Exactly what I was saying. And I think you can't just be prepared physically and let your mental, if you think that you can just think up the best thing, man's mind is always geared to go to the wrong thing. Look around. Look at the world. Mm-hmm. They're not seeking the right thing, the good thing. The politicians are liars. You can't believe anything they say. Now there's a few that you can. They're decent people, but for the most part, they're out for what they can get. And if you just listen to them and trust them, you're gonna fall in the pit. And there's a lot of people that way. The average person doesn't care about you. They only care about themselves. You got to understand that there are people that'll con you completely to get what they want from you, and they'll drop you like a hot potato when it's over. So you've got to know who your friends are. You got to hang out with the right people, and if you're going to hang out with somebody that sneaks around, just like my kids, 3 daughters, they'd come home from school and they'd say, this girl tried to get me to do this. This girl tried to get me to do that. We were always honest with the kids, sure, and they never sneaked around. I could trust my girls, and they started dating. I said, give them a time and everything, but I didn't have to sit up and make sure that my kids were on time. If the door opened, I woke up. I knew it. So I'd go to bed, I'd go to sleep. But I knew when they came in. And if they came in, I'd look at the clock. If it was a minute after their curfew, I'd say, all right, you came in 1 minute late, didn't you? And I'd laugh, give them a hard time. But I could trust them. Mm-hmm. I could trust them. And that's, that's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I've kind of used you as an example in this, and I'll be honest.
Okay.
When talking to people, I say dreams don't die in high school, and I'll tell you where I'll tell you where I'm gonna get with this, and then I've gotten to the point dreams don't die in college. Now I'm to the point dreams don't die in the Olympics, because you just added a whole different element for me.
They don't die till you're dead.
and I use it as an example because I tell them all the time. Well, Shelby didn't win a state title in high school.
No.
He didn't quit. He didn't win a national title at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Didn't quit. He went to the Olympics and won it. Okay? Well, that's the highest you can get in wrestling.
In that sport. Yeah.
Okay? And now I've come to terms with this now. Dreams of inspiring other people, it didn't die in the Olympics. It just it kept going.
It gave me a platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, a platform.
And that's awesome.
And it's not everybody gets that chance, but you have a chance at something.
Mm-hmm.
At something,
Right.
There's always people around you that need a boost. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. There's somebody watching you. You may not think that's true, but that is true. Somebody is watching you. The thing you got to do is realize that. And say to yourself, I want to do the right thing, whoever's watching me. I don't know who it is, because I run into people all the time that I have no clue that they were ever watching me, who tell me, I've been watching you for 50 years, or I've been watching you for a long time. You didn't know it. They're just people that for some reason, some of them are, I don't know, you look at certain people, you get along with them better. Mm-hmm. You like them more than you like somebody else. You know, that's just the way it is. And you got to understand, like, it's like those little kids last night, you know. You got to be a realistic thinker. But those little kids, it doesn't matter who comes in there. It doesn't matter who comes in there. If you introduce them as a champion or something, they're going to be awed by it, and they're gonna say you're the greatest. You know, don't think for 1 minute that they might not remember that 5 minutes later, but you have an opportunity if you do it right to leave them with a memory that's good. You know, you sign an autograph for them, or you take a picture with them, or you pat them on the back, something that they may not remember. They might not even remember your name, but they remember that guy that came in, you know, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you know they're watching. And some of them know exactly what's going on. You know, some of them do. They know exactly what's going on. They're wrestlers. They're into it. You know, and they, like Sandoval, his kids, you know, they know what's going on, you know, and everything. But some of the littler ones, they don't know. But then their parents say, you know, when they get to be 12 or so, you remember this picture? You know, we took this picture, and oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, that old guy just died the other day. You know, but somebody's watching. Mm-hmm. Maybe your next door neighbor's kids. It may be the next door neighbor. You know, I live in a neighborhood where there's always been kids, and I fixed their bike tires and, you know, pumped up their tires and put their chains on and built go-karts for them to play, stuff like that. And you could say, well, what did he ever say to you? Well, I don't know. But he sure treated me nice, you know. Mm-hmm. That's what they remember.
Yeah,
they remember that.
Absolutely.
Just like Ms. Langley. Mm-hmm. I don't remember a word she ever said, except she felt sorry for me because I was always spitting in a can, you know. But she trusted me.
Yes.
That's her legacy with me. She believed in me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Very good. Mr. Wilson, you've got a lot of titles. Father, husband, Pole High grad, Olympic champion.
Yep.
Is there any title that means more to you than the others?
Well, I think probably being a husband and a dad is probably the two that you could take away everything else, but you don't want to take that away. You know, yeah. You don't want to take that away. Having a gold medal is a temporary thing. The thrill of it lasts only while you're on the stand, and when you step off, it's gone. The thrill is gone. The honor's there, but the thrill of it is gone. And in my life, the thrill of life is there because of my faith. The thrill of life and living stays forever. And being a husband, being a father, and a grandfather is something far more important than winning the gold medal. I mean, it's, you know, it doesn't compare. One of the greatest thrills of my life was seeing the birth, or I wasn't able to see the birth of my daughter, but having my own child. That was like, I couldn't get over it. It was like the greatest thing in the world. I just kept looking at this little person, and I go, just a little person, a little bitty person, you know? Gee whiz. And you just, it's like, I've been around kids and whole kids, other people's babies and everything, but to be able to know that you help create this life. And whenever I think about people who would abort that child, there's a sadness, you know, that they would be willing to, just before that baby's born. Mm-hmm. And you look at that little child that you created, and you think, wow, what a miracle. I wouldn't trade that. I mean, you could take all the gold medals and everything that went away with it. You know, it's not. It doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that much. You know, money. It doesn't mean. You know, you can't take it with you. I don't care how much you got. It stays here. It all stays here. I have a saying that I made up one time. No matter what you accumulate in this life, if it lasts long enough, it'll belong to somebody else.
Well said.
Everything. It'll all belong to somebody else. I was talking to my niece today. My sister passed away last year, and they're still going through the house, just getting rid of things. Just getting rid of things. You know? And it'll take a long time because she had a house full of stuff. But that's what happens. It's over. And there it all. It's left. Not one thing are you going to take with you. You know, it's all there. And your reputation is one of those things that's going to stay right here.
Yes.
That's your legacy.
That's your legacy.
That's your legacy. When you're in high school or you're in school and you're a jerk or you're just a sorry individual and you graduate and you don't see your classmates for 50 years, when you come back and they look at you, they look at a jerk until you prove different, because that's your legacy with your classmates. If you were a bully and you bullied somebody and you didn't get it straightened out, when you come back, you're a bully.
Right.
You know? So treat people right, because, hey, they may see you next year. You know? I mean,
Right.
treat them right, not just because of that, but because it's right.
Yes.
It's the right thing to do. You know, you do things because it's the right thing to do. The problem is, what is right? What is the right thing to do? Is it what so-and-so is doing over here who's smoking pot? Is that the right thing to do? Or do I have a different drummer that I go by? Do I listen to different instructions? And do I have a plumb line that tells me what's right? My plumb line is the Bible and the spiritual values that I see there, because they're all there. Honesty and integrity and love and joy and peace and treating people the right way. It's all there. And so I don't have to go outside of that to find what to do that's right. But if I ignore that, then I don't know what's right. If you're under communism, the means justifies the end. The end is what they're looking at, and if you get in the way, they just shoot you. That's right. To them, that's right. But to me, that's not right. And I couldn't join up with the guys that want to go out and drink and smoke and chase around, because I didn't feel that was right. Luckily, I got started with training the right way, so that never entered into my my thinking. So they wouldn't even have a chance to get me to do something like that. You know, I wouldn't even drink a Coke, so why would I drink a beer? You know, that'd be crazy.
Well, Mr. Wilson, thank you. I don't know how much time we've spent. It doesn't seem like long. But
It's been good, though. I think, be interesting to see how it turns out.
It will be. It will be.
Absolutely.
It doesn't seem like long, but I have a fear that I've kept you here way too long.
No, you haven't kept me. I'm fine.
Well,
I'm fine. This is what I'm doing now.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Been
Really.
my pleasure. It's been a good. I appreciate it. You know, my kids are always wanting me to do something like this. You know, they want me to write a book and get things and I just keep putting it off. And they even got me a tape recorder, and they got me tapes and stuff, and I need to put all what we're doing. But now we've got a lot of it on tape. Maybe I can get a copy and
Absolutely.
prove to them that I can tell them I went down to the studio and this is what I did.
You're working on that.
You've been working on it, see?
I've been working on
it. Took me a while, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's good. I'd be happy to hear that I got something on that.
Well, if you do ever write that book, Levitt's going to buy a copy for him and me.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you the name of it if I ever do. It's going to be a saying that my daddy used to say when he come across something that he said, that'll never happen. it would. Now he didn't say that about me, but it would be what he said was, well, a snowball's chance in hell. that was the chance they gave me.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
like
funny.
sounds like we grew up on the same farm.
That's right.
Yeah, but you see, people who say that to you, they don't know what you got inside of you. That's different than what they think.
Yeah.
They don't know, what it is that's motivating you.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta motivate yourself. You can't go by what they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta motivate yourself.
Well, Shelby, thank you so much for
Hey,
being here.
you bet.
And we're proud of you.
Great.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate all you do. I
betcha.
appreciate you doing it. You and helping Doug Bluebaugh and me to not be forgotten.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate that. He would say the same thing if he was here, because it's pretty easy to forget, and to me that's not as important to me as it is to leave a legacy for the kids, to encourage the kids. That I want to do that as long as I have life, is to be able to pat them on the back and encourage them and say, if I can help them with wrestling, moves, or whatever, that's important.
Mhm.
Well, hopefully this will be a part of it.
I think this will be very valuable. It was one of those things that, I'm glad that the opportunity was there, and I'm glad we didn't pass the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it too, because it'll be beneficial to me personally, to my kids.
Good.
My kids will be
Yes.
my kids will be thrilled to death that you did it. I mean, they will. My girls will just be happy as they won't be able to contain themselves.
We'll see.
You did something.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
let
right.
We'll let them work the magic on it, and we'll
Okay.
share it
Yeah.
with you and
Absolutely.
get it out there.
So I guess we'll.